I gave seminars on manipulation. I could reach into a man's soul and unravel it with one tug.
Cool. Hit me.
You're bald.
Bazinga!
I'll kill you, you...
So in my past videos, I've made it pretty clear I'm not a fan of the character Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. To me, this character represents a lot of the issues with how popular culture and people not in the know view autism. A lot of you likely know in the comments on my past videos, I was told time and time again also to watch Community. And every time this show is mentioned, one character's name was always brought up, Abed. A lot of you kept saying Abed is a fantastic autistic coded character, so I finally took it upon myself to watch Community, a show I had never seen before, and pay close attention to Abed and see just why he seems so beloved by so many people. And now, not only do I see why Abed is genuinely a really well-crafted autistic coded character, but I also see just why The Big Bang Theory is not only broken with its rather harmful portrayal of autism coding in a character like Sheldon Cooper, but also just fundamentally as a show and how it handles its writing. And this is all in comparison to Community, which is a show I finally have gotten around to seeing. So let's discuss just exactly why Abed is so much better of a character and an autism rep than Sheldon, where The Big Bang Theory falls flat in comparison to Community. Before I begin, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am a full-time content creator and this helps my channel out quite a bit. You can share the video with a friend too, I'll do that as well. But anyway, on to today's video topic. So to start, let's discuss The Big Bang Theory as a whole, with its production history and basic overall premise. The show aired on CBS from 2007 to 2019 with a total of 12 seasons and 279 episodes. The show centers on a group of nerds, two of whom are physicists at Caltech University, that being Leonard and Sheldon, the main duo of the show. Even the show is about nerds, it appears to try and cater to nerd culture, at least on the surface. This show debuted just before the first Iron Man movie hit theaters, and before the MCU was kicked off and comics characters began rising in major popularity, so you could see this as the show's big break to try and cater to the newfound popularity of nerd culture. But the issue is this show's tone. It doesn't really feel like it's trying to make the nerds laugh as much as just trying to get people to laugh at the nerds. 90% of the jokes can just be boiled down to, oh hey, look at these weirdos, they like Batman, X-Men, Star Trek, and Star Wars. Nobody knows about those things at all, right? Huh, just nerds. Let's make jokes about that. It is very clear the studio heads doing this show just had no real idea of how to cater to nerds and were probably pretty clueless about most of the things they were trying to discuss, given most of the superheroes and other things they bring up are kind of just the pieces of fantasy or sci-fi or the superheroes everybody knew back in 2007, so there's not really any deep cuts or any real nerd catering going on here. It's just so irritating and painfully unfunny, and at the crux of this all is Sheldon himself. Sheldon is honestly an incredibly unlikable character, and a rather poor reflection on autistic people. Sheldon as a character takes things very literally, which, to be fair, is a trait of autism, and one I do experience myself to a degree. The issue with Sheldon, however, is just that he does not grow as a character. Throughout the entirety of the show, it just seems like he's a pretty terrible person to almost everyone around him. Nothing really comes out of it. He never really learns, he just keeps being terrible.
You don't care about anyone else's happiness but your own.
Well, excuse me for having enormous flaws that I don't work on!
Nobody will want to root for a character like that at the end of the day. This is just someone who wants to continue to mistreat others and doesn't really seem to want to change that, and honestly, he kind of gets away with that, which unfortunately sucks. And this actually was the cause of a pretty crucial misunderstanding of what autism was for a long time. This show was insanely popular, not only ran for 12 years, but won 10 Emmys, 14 People's Choice Awards, and even an award from the American Film Institute, which is mind-blowing. Because of the widespread popularity of the show, and the knowledge of Sheldon's autistic coding, a lot of people not in the know about the spectrum assumed that this is how all autistic people acted, causing a lot of harmful stereotypes and misgivings about people on the spectrum. This is bad. What about Abed and the show Community? Well, the basic premise of Community is more or less about a group of college students who are at a community college for a myriad of different reasons. One of the most crucial characters in this show is Abed. Abed is a pop culture fanatic who loves a lot of TV shows and old movies as well, and tends to quote them quite a bit, and this actually is often the point and focus of a lot of various different episodes. At first, when watching this show, I was worried this would just be another Sheldon Cooper situation, and it would just be him spouting off random pop culture references in a desperate attempt to get the audience to laugh, just like what Sheldon does. However, upon watching some more, I actually found that's not it at all. Pop culture references in general in this show are actually pretty well executed, and I think it's down to the writers, Anthony Russo and Joe Russo, who went on to do the Marvel movies, which you could definitely say some mixed things on, but here their writing really shows. And honestly, this kind of writing works perfectly in a sitcom format. But not only are the cultural references with Abed actually pretty clever, him as a character is actually very nuanced and pretty deep and interesting, unlike Sheldon. In one of the very first episodes of the show, Abed is actually approached at the campus by his very invasive father, who wants him to work at a falafel shop and doesn't want him to pursue the film class that he is currently in. Britta and Jeff are actually trying to talk to Abed throughout this whole episode and trying to get him to communicate what exactly he is feeling about his dad and the film class and what he wants to do. But the thing is, he won't actually respond to them, at least on the surface. He is just continually filming them at random points, and they just don't get it. Finally fed up, Jeff gets Britta and Abed's dad to reconvene at a certain area where Abed is actually editing his final draft of his film and tries to get them to make up and understand that just leave Abed alone and let him do what he wants. However, with them here, Abed actually presents his film to Jeff, Britta, and his dad, which, oddly enough, is actually used with the clips and videos he got of Britta and Jeff, and he overlays his own mom and his own dad's faces onto them, and more or less uses this as a way to reach his dad in a way he understands and knows how to communicate in. He uses this film as a way to reach out to his father and tell him how he feels about his mom and his dad divorcing and his father being invasive about what he wants. And because of this, his father is actually touched and realizes this is what's best for Abed and what he wants to do. And he respects that decision and lets him attend the film class. This episode definitely made me tear up when I watched it because it honestly is a very, very relatable thing for someone like me as an autistic person, seeing that sort of sense of communication through other means. Like for me, it's videos. For Abed, it just happens to be film. So in the same way I communicate my thoughts through videos, Abed is communicating his thoughts through home movies, and it's honestly really, really cool to see that portrayed so accurately and on the nose in a show like this. This is just what sets the bar so much higher with Community than something like The Big Bang Theory. It actually seems to understand autism and how people like me will always communicate differently than neurotypical people, and we sort of get each other because of that, even if neurotypical people may not always get us. This really just shows that Community just has so much higher quality writing than The Big Bang Theory. I think a great case in point is that Community doesn't actually have any laugh tracks at all, unlike The Big Bang Theory. In Community, the dialogue is very snappy and very quick, and the punchlines and jokes are delivered very quickly and very rapidly. They're almost like non-stop. In The Big Bang Theory, there's almost like a pause every 8 seconds where they expect you to laugh, because they'll play a laugh track right there to try and trick you into laughing at their jokes. It honestly makes it kind of jarring when you watch the show with no laugh tracks, as there are a lot of videos on YouTube that do exactly this, because it just kind of shows there's other terrible people talking to other terrible people and being terrible to each other.
In the past decade, I have spent thousands of dollars in that store, and this is the thanks I get.
You're right. I mean, he could at least get you a mug.
He gave me a mug. What do you think I'm drinking out of? Do you even pay attention?
Hey, what's the matter, don't you get it? That's funny.
Like, nobody is gonna laugh at that. At the end of the day, Community really does seem to understand what autism is and how to represent that well in a character, and I'm honestly really glad you all convinced me to watch this show. It was definitely worth it, and thank you all for convincing me to finally see why y'all love Abed. I get it now. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a like anyway. If you want to check out all my socials down below, you can see all those down there. And if you want to join my Discord too, where you can communicate with me and others offline, that should be linked down below. And if you want to check out my Letterboxd, that is linked down below as well. That's where I review movies, oftentimes movies or shows I won't review here on YouTube. So you can check that out too if you want extra content from me. But for now, I've been Noah the Otter, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye!